What's up, everyone? I am Leo, the guitarist. Today we're going to talk about the ESP Arming Adjuster and what it does and why or why not you might want one. Today I'm going to be working out of a Laney IRT60H into a Hughes and Kettner 412, and I'm also going to be using a new Schecter C1 FR. I'm also going to talk about the installation process of the Arming Adjuster, and as you'll see, it's very, very simple. Alright, let's check it out. Okay, so here we are looking at the ESP Arming Adjuster. Now, what it is it's basically a trem block in that it creates a counter tension for your trem block if you were to pop a string or to if you wanted to bend multiple strings, which is pretty useful in a live situation. Also, it stabilizes it, creating more sustain, which is always nice. This center gear, that pertains to the amount of tension that you're going to have. As you can see, I keep it around the middle. If you were to tighten it this way, you would create more tension, basically turning your trem style bridge into a fixed style bridge. So that means this will not move at all. But if you were to loosen it more, you get more slack and you'll be able to do way more toying around if you wanted to do some warble effects or pull up on the trem. Then the more slack is best. I keep it around the middle because I do a lot of palm muting, so I don't want it, I palm mute on the bridge, so I don't want it going out of tune while I'm doing that. So that way I still have enough tension to stay in tune, but also it's slack enough where I can actually use my Floyd Rose. Alright, let's go over the installation process. Alright, so in order to properly set up the ESP Arming Adjuster, the first thing you got to do is make sure that your trem is already perfectly set up. And by that I mean that the trem is pretty much parallel with your body of the guitar. Basically, it wants to be pre-set up before you do this. Alright, if you don't know how to do that, get a guitar tech, or if you already know how, awesome. Right now I'm currently tuned to D standard, a whole step down, so it's good to go. Now you're going to lay it down flat. You're gonna want some sort of cushion, like a towel, maybe even a couple of books if you can't afford a few towels, because you want the trem to stay parallel throughout this entire procedure. You don't want it tilting, otherwise it'll make everything slightly harder. Now we're going to go inside the cavity and we're going to get more in depth. Okay, as you can see, we are inside the cavity, and here's the first thing you got to notice. While it's already perfectly set up, you're going to want your springs in a formation that will allow you to put the ESP block inside. I'm doing a 2-in-1 combination. It's best not to have any like V-shaped configurations. It'll just be a lot easier and a lot smoother. Now, in the instructions for the Arming Adjuster, you need to take this spring and you need to wind it all the way to the end. Okay, you need this spring to be completely tight, and what you're going to do is you're going to hold down this gear, and then you're going to turn the centerpiece all the way. Now I've already taken the liberty of doing that, and I'm going to show you what you're going to do after you tighten it. It has to be completely tight. Now, for mine, I went ahead and already pre-routed. Your guitar may need additional routing if the cavity isn't deep enough, and for that I recommend getting a tech. That's something a professional should take care of, because you could honestly fuck up your shit. Alright, now you're gonna get this felt pad in with the arming adjuster, and it's gonna go straight up against the trem block. I already have mine set up, as you can see, and what that does is that's just gonna silence it, because the arming adjuster is a piece of metal, so metal against metal will make a clanging sound. This will silence that, making the noise in your amp a lot smoother. Now, I went ahead and what I did was I took a pick, like a simple pick. You could even use a really small screwdriver, and I lightly tapped it just to mark where the screws are going to go. Again, that's all just to make your life easier, and it certainly made mine easier. Since these screws are pretty small and it is such a tight space, I highly recommend using needle nose pliers to get in there. And yep, boom, just like that. You may need to drill. You know, just to get a nice starting point. That wasn't very nice. But it's always good, so that way you know that the screw holes are nice and straight. You're not going to have any further issues like I'm having. And again, I should be using like a screwdriver with like an extension piece, just so that I can get into this very tight space. You could do this if you take the entire, you know, the trem claw, the block. You can take all of this out and do this. I found it to be a little bit more reassuring not to, simply because I can see where all the pieces are already. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to guess, oh, is that the distance between the springs? No. So I chose to do it like this. You can take it all apart. That'll be up to you. Come on. These pliers are magnetic, so I'm having being a bit of a trick. Yep, I'm just gonna go in there old-fashioned. Boom. I won't be outdone by an inanimate object. Alright. And just like that, very easy, very simple, it's now attached. I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and we'll come back for a sound check. the ESP Arming Adjuster. To me, it kind of lived up to its name as far as blocking my trem. You know, I do a lot of palm mutes. I palm on the bridge, and that was pretty satisfactory to me. As far as sustain and anything else, it was. I felt that there was a little bit more. Certainly with the added mass, I kind of felt more vibration in the body of the guitar, like, because it is now all attached to each other. So that was a very interesting feel. It felt, it didn't feel like a trem guitar anymore. It felt like a fixed bridge. You know, of course, with distortion, any added sustain was negligible at best, or yeah, I didn't notice it. But during the cleans, I felt like not only was there more sustain, but also, as a surprise, there was added warmth. You know, this device, it's made from brass. So as we all know, brass gives us a little bit more oomph, a little bit of thickness in the tone. So for the cleans, that was pretty nice. Yeah, I found it for $30 online. You can't get these American made. They're only available, I think, in Japan. So yeah, try one out. I certainly like mine. I'm going to keep it in my guitar. Yeah, thanks for watching. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button, and also find me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for joining me.